Well, I didn't get anything at the thrift shop today. I mean, not to resell. I got a shirt, and well, I may end up reselling this, but I'm going to read it first. It's the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and I think it was written in the 1800s. So that's what I got it for, to, kind of a cultural timepiece, if you will, that type of thing. I just wanted to see what they thought was comic back in the 1800s. And really, that's it. It's late in the day, so I didn't get early to the thrift shop when all the deals came out and all that. So I think I'm going to go down. Maybe I'll probably make a cup of coffee. Don't I always? I mean, that's just like a given almost. But I'm going to go down and maybe get a cup of coffee. No, I think I'll make a cup of coffee. Yeah. Anyway, I might get a snack or something. Sit for a bit before I go home. So I'll see you soon. Here I am. Little change of plans. I came to the little grocery store, convenience store that I come to quite often. I was going to go all the way on the other side of town. I decided to stop here instead. It's kind of busy. I think it's around the 5 o'clock hour. Let me show you. See, that's what I'm looking at here. It's not like it's ultra exciting. Just kind of like sort of exciting. And it's sort of exciting because I'm at least going to have coffee. Well, let me go in the store and get my coffee, and I'm not even sure what I'm talking about today. If anything, I don't know. I'll be right back. I've said before that I usually don't plan my videos. A lot of times I'll just get on here, start out by telling you what I'm going to do today, go to the thrift shop, get a cup of coffee, etc. And then as I talk, something will pop up into my head. Nothing's popping up today, but I have a cheat sheet. And the cheat sheet is just a lot of things I've written down that I could talk about when I feel like I have nothing to talk about, like when nothing's, at the top of my brain, wanting to come out my mouth. Today's one of those days. But there's an interesting thing here. Okay, I come from a small town. This is kind of strange, but I come from a small town, and they say that the courthouse, they built a new courthouse back in probably the 80s, I would think. And someone said it was on an Indian burial ground. Don't know if it's true. But I knew someone who knew of a really old Hispanic lady. And she claimed to know a lot of the history of this town. And there's things that she said that she would not tell at all about, like the burial ground, and about different strange events that happens in certain areas of the town. Like, I lived in a house, and I may have told this story before. I'm not sure as far as what I'm about to say, but I had weird things happen when I was growing up. I'd walk into a room, and a book that was on the table might just go and slide off the table. A door might open. You might see something out of the corner of your eye, like a foggish thing or like a blur, and you could count this off as so many things. So I'm not making any claims, but I knew someone else, and I'm not telling who these people are, because a lot of times it's relatives or it's a close acquaintance, friend, or whatever, and I'm just not going to give the details. But this person it was a younger girl, a couple times she would hear like a screeching woman outside of her bedroom window at night. You know, we didn't live in the country, so it wasn't like some kind of a wildcat or anything like that. I mean, we lived in the city. And I say we because I lived across the street from this person. Anyway, a lot of weird occurrences happened in this one area where I lived. I was raised in this area. And when my wife and I went to rent this house out, because I ended up, having the family home, and we rented it out. We had to go from North Carolina all the way down to Florida, Central Florida, rent this house out. Anyway, we were supposed to meet these people so they could look at the house. And they got there, I guess, a little bit before us. And they said that they saw a man walking by really quickly, like just through the window, like maybe just a brief time. It's like the window had a certain frame, that you could see somebody walking around. Like you couldn't see the whole house, obviously. But they would go to another window and then they might see the guy again. They couldn't describe him because they said it was really quickly and he was kind of blurry. But they thought it was maybe me or whatever that I was there, and they knocked on the door. Nobody came to the door. And it wasn't long after we drove up, my wife and I. And they told us, they said, well, we thought you were here already because there's some guy in there walking around. Well, we unlocked the door, went in. There was no one there at all, period, no one. Anyway, they ended up, they're going to rent the house. So we're supposed to meet them there the next day. That night, my wife and I decided to sleep. Nothing in the house. It's totally empty. But on the floor, we sleep on the floor of what used to be my mother's office, which was a garage that my dad put a wall around. Not a garage, a carport, because he had to put 2 walls around. Anyway, and that was her office, because I've mentioned before my mother was a Christian Science practitioner and she had people over and things like that. Anyway, around, 1 o'clock in the morning, I was not yet asleep. My wife was next to me and I could feel her like tense up, like she had heard something, but I was awake and there was nothing. You couldn't hear anything, but I had this weird feeling. And then all of a sudden, we heard like pots and pans, like they had fallen out of a cabinet or something and hit the stove, and they were, clanging, and it just like totally freaked us out. Number one, because there was nothing in the house, no pots and pans. There was nothing in the kitchen at all. There's no way to explain that. We can't explain it to this day. There's a crack under the door, so she was looking under the crack and you could see the hallway that goes down to the hallway, which goes to a bathroom, a bedroom on the right, and then 2 bedrooms on the left. So it's a long hallway. And while she was looking, she said that she saw some kind of a gray, looked like a figure, but it was only maybe 3 or 4 foot tall, go from one room to the other really quickly at the very end of the hallway. Fortunately, my mom's office was built with a door on its own that we didn't have to go into the main house, because it was an office where people visited her a lot and she didn't want them having to go through our house. So we took off. We went out that door, we got in the car and we took off, because we don't know what it was. We have no idea. To this day, we don't. We tell the story, but we have no idea what it was. So this was a certain part of my small town, way down in Central Florida, about 12 hours from where we now live. Lo and behold, up on our mountain, where we live now, we have about 12 to 15 other houses up there. And there's someone that lives there, and their granddaughter, we knew her when she was a kid because she used to live up there at another house, and then they moved. And I never saw her, but my wife saw her years later. She was an adult. She was like in her 20s. And they got to talking. And just out of the blue, they were talking about something, and this girl said, I lived in this particular town, and we just moved back up here. And my wife was like, what? That's where we lived. That's where my husband's from. He was born and raised there, and we lived there for years. She's like, really? I mean, small town. And they said that the reason they moved back because they had this house, and it was haunted. They said that it was haunted. Too many weird things were going on. They saw things. They saw like foggy looking, like apparition type things. And like I said, I'm not making any claims, so don't think I'm making any claims about any of this stuff. I'm just telling you the facts. This is what happened. And she just said that they got so spooked they couldn't stay down there in my hometown. It's so weird. And they moved back, and they'd only been back a few weeks. So my wife said, well, where at did you live? She literally lived about 2 blocks from my house. I mean, all the way down in a small town, 12 hours away. And then we met her again years after she had grown up, and she said that she lived just a couple blocks away. I mean, I knew where she lived because she said it was by a certain elementary school and what block it was and what the road was. And I mean, I was very familiar. She lived like 2 blocks from my house. Now, this goes back to that old Hispanic woman. She said that there's certain parts of my hometown that were built on certain sites that maybe they shouldn't have been built on. And this area where I live, the area was one of those sites. So take it for what you will. I don't know what to make of it, but I think that's a huge, unbelievable coincidence that I had stuff like that all my life growing up, these weird things. The tenants that came, saw somebody in there, the pots, the pans. We saw, my wife saw somebody, moving from room to room, which it wasn't somebody. She said it was just like this, I don't know. It was just a few feet tall, but it was like a dark grayish or something like that. But then to meet this girl in her 20s now, they got spooked down there and moved back up. Had no idea, hadn't seen her in years, and she had no idea that, because we hadn't talked to her. She was just a kid when she lived up there, and nobody really, we just didn't talk to anybody. So what are the odds? It was amazing. So anyway, that's one of the things that I have written down in my little book of notes, because I just think that's a very odd thing. And then this 15-year-old boy that they ended up renting our house, this was one of our nightmare tenants. He would sit on the front porch with his pellet gun, and we're in a neighborhood. There's houses everywhere, all around. There's neighbors. And he would shoot birds off the power lines. Just shoot them, boom. Shoot them. Squirrels, boom, shoot them off the power lines. People around there were scared of him. They were so thankful when we evicted them because they were crazy. Like that kid, he was 15, but they said he was a crazy kid. He would sit out there with his gun, just shoot all around the neighborhood. I don't know why. Well, I think they did actually call the police a time or two, but it's like nothing was really done about it. So, and they're the ones that also, oh yeah, oh gosh, it's all coming back. They're the ones that, I may have told you this, I may not have. We had to get the sheriff to evict him because they wouldn't leave on their own, so the sheriff had to evict him. But they had so much time to get their stuff out. And when we went down there, we saw what we saw, and we're pretty amazed about the condition of the house. The neighbor was an old lady, and she liked to watch out the house for us. We had a privacy fence in the back and on the side of the house. She said that they had a moving truck, U-Haul, whatever, and there's an empty field on the side of our house. And she said they backed the truck up really fast, went right through the fence, knocked it down, smashed through the fence, and a little while later, they drove off. I guess they got all their stuff that they had, but they just like knocked the fence down. Boom, just knocked it down. Didn't fix it or anything. We went back there and we were wondering why. I mean, it looked like, what in the world? It looked like somebody had just crashed through our fence. And well, they had crashed through our fence. There was no back door on the house. The back door was gone. It wasn't in the yard. It wasn't in the house. There was no back door. You could just walk right into the house. We walk right into the house. Not only is it flea infested, but a couple of the bedroom doors had huge holes that was all like chewed up. And then come to find out, they said, the neighbors said they had a pit bull. So apparently when they kept him in a room, he would chew his way out with this big old hole. And apparently they put him in another room, and then he chewed his way out of that room. I mean, we lost so much money on that house at that time because they quit paying rent, number one. And then we had to go down there and spend, I think the damage was about $7,000 worth of damage. And we could have taken them to small claims court, but literally an attorney told us, okay, so you're going to take them to court and you're going to win. You'll win. But the problem is all they're going to do is not pay. And at that point, there's nothing you can do. You'll have to just take them to court again. It's just this vicious cycle because it seems like they have all the rights, even though we're the landlord. So we didn't do anything. I ended up going to thrift shops and trying to find used doors. I did all the work myself and different things like that. And we fixed it for considerably less than $7,000, a little bit over $7,000. But that was one of our horror tenants. Anyway, that's it. Got my cup of coffee, yeah. And I'm going to go home. It's getting late. I mean, it's after 5 o'clock. I'm not usually out this late by myself. So, love you guys. God bless you. Read the 91st Psalm, 23rd in the Lord's Prayer every night like I do. And it gives me a sense of peace. And my kids are learning that, if they have times of trouble, of need or whatever, I'm hoping and praying that some of the scripture sticks with them for the rest of their life. The rest of their lives. My grammar's not what it used to be. I was an English major at one time. Imagine that. Anyway, take care, guys. Again, God bless you. Bye.